Back off.
Get that woman and those kids into my car. Now. Beverly Hills, California. The moment the glass door of the wedding boutique Maison Blanc swung open just 1 block off Rodeo Drive, the air inside turned to ice. A line of men in black suits filed in. At the front, Kang Jae-ha, the head of LA's Korean organization. His face held no expression whatsoever. The boutique staff fell silent the moment he walked through the door. He had come to arrange the custom fitting of his fiancée's wedding gown, a strategic engagement brokered for the benefit of LA's most powerful construction empire. To Jae-ha, this errand was no different from signing a contract. And then Jae-ha's feet stopped. In the far corner of the boutique stood a woman, pressing her back flat against the wall, a delivery box of flowers clutched to her chest. Her full afro was pulled back, and she had both arms wrapped tightly around 2 small boys, holding her breath. One of Jae-ha's men stood blocking her path, speaking in a low, threatening voice. She wasn't trembling. That was what caught Jae-ha's eye. Her back was against the wall, there was nowhere to go, and yet, in front of those 2 children, she kept her spine straight. One of my men is pushing her around. Jae-ha snapped his fingers once. The man stepped back immediately. What's your name? Kira. I'm a wedding florist. I just stopped by to make a delivery. 8-year-old Jordan and 6-year-old Marcus gripped the hem of Kira's jacket with both hands. Her nephews, the boys her sister Amina had left behind. You came to make a delivery and got caught up with my men? I didn't get caught up. There was a misunderstanding. Jae-ha liked that answer. She didn't argue, didn't cry, didn't beg. Get in the car. Excuse me. The kids too. Hold on. I don't even know who you are. Why would I? 10 seconds. Decide. Is my car safer, or is out there safer? Kira looked out the window. 2 unfamiliar cars sat in the alley outside. They'd been there since she arrived. Kira took Jordan's hand. 3 black SUVs slipped out of the Beverly Hills alley. The evening sun of LA painted the car windows a deep red. Kira sat in the back seat with a child tucked on either side of her, watching the city scroll past. Sunset Boulevard drifted by, lined with rows of swaying palm trees. I should run. But somehow this car feels like the safest place right now. Jae-ha, in the front seat, didn't look back once. But the moment Kira's face appeared in the rearview mirror, his fingers paused just for an instant. Auntie, is this man a good guy? Quiet, Marcus. I'm the bad guy. Marcus's eyes went wide. Jae-ha kept his gaze straight ahead. Kira looked at the side of his face for a moment. That first evening began just like that. As the LA sunset gilded Rodeo Drive in gold, the wedding gown, the fiancé, the organization, everything began to tilt. All because of one woman. Jae-ha's estate sat on a hill above Beverly Hills. At night, the entire city of LA spread out like a glittering map below. After putting the boys to bed, Kira sat by the guest room window. In her hand was a single worn photograph of her sister, Amina, smiling, the face Amina wore before the debt ever came up. Amina, what am I supposed to do? I never thought what you left behind would grow into something like this. Amina had been killed in a car accident 6 months ago. What she left behind were 2 sons and a debt somewhere in the back alleys of LA. Kira had just started building her florist business in Nairobi when she packed everything up and flew over. Jae-ha didn't come downstairs until well past midnight. He'd taken off his suit jacket, but he was just as stiff without it. You're not sleeping. Wouldn't it be stranger if I could sleep in a stranger's house? It's safer here than out there. I know that. But when morning comes, I still have to go back out there. Jae-ha sat down in the armchair across from the sofa. He rolled up one sleeve as he settled in, and somehow that single gesture made him look almost human. How much was your sister's debt? Kira stiffened. How did you know about that? It happened in my territory. Of course I know. $40,000. Jae-ha said nothing. He simply stood up. Jae-ha came back from his study with an envelope. He set it on the table in front of Kira. What is this? Can't tell. I can't take this. Jae-ha's eyebrow rose, just slightly. The expression of a man who hadn't heard the word no in a very long time. In this world, free always costs more in the end. You know that. Grateful? Don't make me laugh. You just happened to catch my eye. Strangely, that felt like comfort, like being told she didn't have to lean on anyone. Kira stared at the envelope for a long moment. Then slowly she picked it up. The next morning, while Jae-ha got ready to leave, Kira was in the kitchen with the boys. On the kitchen table sat a vase. Someone had put white roses in it and they were already drooping. Auntie, is this flower dying? Yeah, but that's okay. Flowers are most beautiful right before they fall. Jae-ha, standing in the hallway, heard that. He didn't stop walking. But even as he drove the freeway, those words stayed in his ear and wouldn't leave. Most beautiful right before they fall. Kang Jae-ha had never once thought about flowers. That day, for the first time, he did. He thought about how the world he'd lived in had never once allowed anything to bloom. That evening, Jae-ha's lieutenant Mingi brought a report. Boss, the East Side organization is looking for Kira. The debt is just the cover story. Seems like there's something else going on. Something else like what? Still looking into it. But one thing is certain. Kira's sister Amina may not have died in an accident. Jae-ha looked out the window. LA's night was glittering. A beautiful city. The kind of city only those who knew how much rot lay beneath its surface could truly see. Amina's death wasn't an accident. Jae-ha rose from his seat. The first thing he checked that night wasn't files, wasn't the organization's status. It was the light under the door of the room where Kira and the boys were staying. You're coming with me today. Where? Beverly Hills. Dress fitting. Kira set down her coffee cup. A brief silence settled over the breakfast table. I'm a florist. What does a dress fitting have to do with me? Floral concept consultation for the venue. My fiancé wants to go over it in person. It was a lie. Jae-ha knew it himself. Sophia Chan had no interest in flowers. Jae-ha simply wanted to bring Kira. He didn't know why. This man is strange. So why can't I say no? The VIP room of Maison Blanc. Rows of white gowns hung beneath a chandelier. The moment Sophia Chan entered, the atmosphere shifted. The daughter of LA's largest construction empire, every glance she gave was calculated. Her eyes landed on Kira. This is the florist? That's right. Interesting choice, Jae-ha. Everyone in the room understood the weight of those words. So did Kira. But Kira didn't so much as blink. Jae-ha saw that. The fitting began. While the dressmaker took Sophia's measurements, Kira stood to one side and opened her floral sample book. Jae-ha sat on the sofa. He pretended to look at the gown, but his eyes kept drifting to Kira. The way she pressed a finger to the sample page and jotted notes. The habit of biting her lower lip when she concentrated. The way her afro curled loose by her ear and she didn't even notice. Jae-ha, what do you think of this dress? It's fine. He wasn't looking at the dress. Sophia knew that. Only the dressmaker didn't. When the fitting ended and Sophia stepped into the changing room, Jae-ha and Kira were left alone for the first time. Why did you bring me to your fiancé's wedding dress fitting? Jae-ha looked at Kira. Directly. I told you. Floral concept. You don't believe that reason yourself, do you? Jae-ha didn't answer. In the life of Kang Jae-ha, there had been very few moments he couldn't find an answer. Can I just go home? No. Why not? You're still not safe. That was true. But it wasn't the whole truth. As Sophia came out of the changing room, she spoke quietly to Jae-ha. Jae-ha, I see it. The way you look at her. Sophia, this engagement, neither of us wanted it. But when it shows this much, I still have my pride. Jae-ha didn't deny it. For Sophia, that was the most honest answer she could have received. Kira didn't hear that exchange. She was tucking her sample book into her bag, looking out the boutique window at Rodeo Drive. The late autumn sun was turning the palm fronds gold. What's wrong with me? Why do I keep thinking about this man's eyes? That day, the gowns of Maison Blanc hung just as they were beneath the chandelier, unchosen by anyone, as if waiting for their rightful owner. My goodness, what a sorry situation these two have gotten themselves into. The more one plays cold, the more his heart gives him away, and the more the other tries to leave, the more her feet stay planted. Even under the blazing LA sun, a fire can quietly take hold in the coldest corner of a person's heart. Because the moment you try hardest to hold something in, that's exactly when it starts to slip out. That dress, I have no intention of putting it on anyone else. The words came out of nowhere in particular. It was dinner, after the boys had gone to sleep. The first night, Jae-ha and Kira sat across from each other alone. Kira set down her glass of water. Slowly. What does that mean? Exactly what you heard. Kira didn't answer. She couldn't. Somewhere deep inside her chest, something had begun to quietly shift. What did this man just say? Jae-ha said nothing more. Kang Jae-ha was not a man who said anything twice. Late that night, Mingi called. Boss, we have a problem. Jordan and Marcus had gone. Jae-ha was on his feet before the words were finished. Kira? She's in her room. Only the boys are missing. The East Side organization's vehicle was caught on the CCTV at the east wall of the estate. Jae-ha stepped into the hallway. Kira's door was open. She already knew. She'd found the boys' room empty and was standing there with both hands pressed over her mouth. Jae-ha, the boys, I'll bring them back. I'm coming with you. No. Without me, they'll be too scared to hold on. Please. Jae-ha looked at her, a woman holding back tears, but with eyes that didn't waver. He exhaled slowly. Stay right beside me. Don't move. The East Side organization's hideout was a warehouse on the outskirts of Compton. Jae-ha went with only Mingi, no other men, not using the organization's name as leverage. That was the way Jae-ha had chosen. The warehouse was dark. In the corner, Jordan and Marcus sat with their arms locked around each other. Marcus was crying. Jordan was biting down hard, trying not to. The moment Kira saw them, she lurched forward. Jae-ha caught her wrist, quietly, but firm. Not yet, when I give the signal. Kira gripped Jae-ha's hand. She hadn't meant to. It just happened. Jae-ha didn't let go either. That also just happened. The East Side boss Ray stepped in front of Jae-ha. Kang Jae-ha. Didn't think you'd come yourself. Gimme the kids. Who is that woman to you? You crawl all the way here, throwing aside everything the organization worked for. Last time I'm saying it. Gimme the kids. Ray smiled. Before that smile had finished forming, Jae-ha moved. Mingi cut the lights. The warehouse plunged into complete darkness. 15 seconds passed. When the lights came back on, Ray was on the floor and Jae-ha was standing. Not a speck of dust on his suit. I already know you had a hand in Amina's death. By the time tonight is over, it'll be handled from the other side. That'll go better for you than me handling it. The smile disappeared from Ray's face. Kira ran to the boys. She pulled Jordan and Marcus into both arms. Marcus broke into sobs. Jordan buried his face in Kira's shoulder and wept without a sound. Auntie, I was so scared. I know. Auntie's here. Everything's okay. Auntie, did that man come for us? Kira looked up. Jae-ha was standing at the warehouse entrance looking out. His back was to her. Kira watched that back for a long moment. A cold, dangerous man. And yet somehow, his shoulders looked wide, like someone who had been carrying something alone for a very long time. I'm in trouble because of this man. I think I'm falling for him. On the drive back, the boys had already fallen asleep in the back seat, tucked against Kira. Jae-ha spoke while he drove. You're not hurt? No. Are you? I don't get hurt. Thank you. What I said earlier, I'm not taking it back. Kira looked out the window. The night freeway of LA. Headlights flowing like a river. Which part? The dress. Kira smiled. Quietly, her face turned toward the window. Jae-ha watched her profile in the rearview mirror, and he too, just slightly, let the corner of his mouth rise. The LA night deepened just like that. The boys slept, the two adults said nothing, and the stars above the freeway did not waver. The next morning, Sophia Chan came to the estate. The moment Sophia faced Jae-ha at the front door, she held out an envelope. A thin envelope. Jae-ha didn't need to open it to know what it was. Engagement termination papers. I requested them first. Sophia is fine. It wasn't an engagement I wanted either. But Jae-ha, one question. Go ahead. Are you going to treat her well? Genuinely. Jae-ha held Sophia's gaze for a moment. Then he answered, That's what I intend. Sophia nodded. The way she turned and walked away was far more dignified than he'd expected. It was in that moment that Jae-ha truly understood, for the first time, that she was a good person. Kira hadn't seen any of that. She was in the backyard with the boys. While Jordan tore across the lawn, Marcus crouched beside Kira and pulled at a weed for no particular reason. Auntie, can't we just stay here? Marcus. That man is scary, but I don't think he's bad. He came for us last night. Kira ran a hand over Marcus's head. She couldn't answer, even though she already knew what the answer was. I want to stay too. I just don't know if I'm allowed to. The morning sun of LA poured across the backyard. Beside the weed Marcus had pulled, a small, unnamed flower had bloomed. Kira packed her bag. The moment afternoon came, the reason was simple. The debt was settled. The boys were safe. Those responsible for Amina's death had been dealt with. There was no reason to stay. More than that, it felt like she shouldn't. I can't step into this man's world. Not with the kids. She rolled her suitcase out to the front door. Jordan and Marcus stood at the top of the stairs looking down. Neither of them said a word. That was the part that hurt the most. Come on, boys. Shouldn't we say goodbye to Jae-ha? Kira hesitated. He's probably busy. When she opened the front door, Jae-ha was standing right there, in front of the car. The same black SUV that had driven all the way to Compton the night before. Jae-ha stood with both hands in his pockets watching her. I was on my way out. I know. Move. No. Kira looked at Jae-ha. Jae-ha looked at Kira. The afternoon LA sun filled the space between them. Jae-ha, I'm not from your world. I know. I have the kids. My life is complicated. I know. Stop saying you know and stay anyway. The moment those words landed, the grip on Kira's suitcase handle began to loosen. Little by little, Marcus shouted from the top of the stairs. Auntie, just stay. I want to stay here. Marcus, stop it. No. I know you want to stay too, Auntie. Kira burst out laughing, a laugh on a face that looked like it might cry any second. Jae-ha watched her, and for the first time, he was the one who reached out first. Give me the suitcase. Where are you taking it? Inside. Kira looked at Jae-ha's hand for a long moment. Then slowly, she let go of the handle. Marcus let out a cheer. Jordan smiled despite himself. Jae-ha carried the suitcase back through the front door. His expression was still the same, but the tips of his ears had gone a little red. I'm in serious trouble. Real serious trouble. 3 days later, Maison Blanc called. A custom gown order had come in with no appointment, no name on file for the client. The name given was Kang Jae-ha, and tucked inside the note with the measurements was one more line. For Kira. Kira couldn't speak for a while after that call. Outside, the late autumn sun of LA filled everything. A palm frond swayed in the breeze. This man, I swear. She couldn't finish the sentence. Her smile had gotten completely out of control. That afternoon, Kira knocked on the door of Jae-ha's study. Jae-ha looked up. The dress. I'll wear it. Jae-ha said nothing. He just lowered his eyes back to the papers. But Kira saw it in the corner of his mouth, quietly rising. A man who had lived inside a cold and dangerous world, and a woman who had held 2 children together alone in a city not her own. They found each other. An unlikely pair by any measure. But the truth is, human connection was never meant to bloom in the obvious places. It has always had a way of knocking on the door you least expected, carried by the person you never saw coming. What is it, truly, that this story asks us to hold on to? People come from different worlds and carry different weights. But sincerity, real sincerity, has a way of crossing every one of those borders and arriving at its destination in the end. Just as Kira held 2 children together in a city far from home and refused to let go, those who do not give up will always, in time, find someone who sees exactly what that endurance cost them. And men like Jae-ha, the ones who have hardened themselves down to the bone, when their hearts finally move. They move quietly and they move deep. One action speaks where 100 words cannot, and showing up, simply being there, can open a heart that nothing else could reach. The most unlikely things finding each other and becoming something unbreakable together. That is the oldest story there is. This story is a work of fiction,